we're all always in the process of co-creating our manifested experience with other people, from our partners, our coworkers, even to our local barista. The co-creative process is never ending. So in this video, I want to share with you some tools that you can use to refine your co-creative skills and start to produce higher and higher manifestations that you really desire. First, we're going to get really clear on what co-creation is. Then we're going to talk about why certain co-creative processes produce manifestations that we don't necessarily want to experience. And finally, I'm going to give you 4 tools that you can use to strengthen the co-creative process and really create pointed manifestations that you truly desire. The 4th of which is going to be the most important, so make sure you stay until the end. What's up, beautiful? It's Lisa Roulette, and I'm here to help you heal, navigate your ascension journey, and create a life you love. We've been talking a lot about manifesting this week, which is the creative process. And as you know, if you've been following my channel for a while or any of my social media, I talk a lot about manifesting because it is part of our awakening to realize that we are both healers and creators of our life experience. And part of our job along the ascension path is to learn how to manipulate energy to create manifestations that we do truly desire and that are for the highest good of all concerned. So if these are subjects that you're interested in, please make sure you subscribe. And if you're a returning subscriber or returning viewer to the channel, thank you for joining me again and welcome to the family. So what does co-creation really mean? Well, co-creation is when you take your ideas, thoughts, actions, and behaviors and mix them with another person's ideas, thoughts, actions, and behaviors. But we need to keep in mind that those ideas, thoughts, actions, and behaviors hold an energetic quality to them. So essentially, when 2 people come together and mix the energy of their ideas, actions, thoughts, and behaviors, what ends up happening is it becomes an energetic signature for both parties that ultimately create the manifestation. So your energetic signature combined with another person's energetic signature essentially creates a piece of art, which is the manifestation. Now, sometimes these pieces of art don't exactly turn out like we really want them to. So if we can become more mindful and more skillful at the co-creative process, making sure that we are putting in the highest quality vibrations we possibly can, and that our co-creative partners are doing the same, we are definitely going to turn things around and start to become stronger manifestors over time. Now, before we talk about the 4 ways to become a stronger manifester, let's talk about why co-creation sometimes doesn't work. Sometimes co-creation doesn't work because we think we're creating what we both know we want, right? Especially in romantic relationships. We both know we want certain things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that what we want is going to be produced by the co-creative process. So let me give you an example. 2 people meet each other and they have a wonderful attraction to one another. And then they decide that they like the same things. Then they decide they want the same things. So eventually they become partners and maybe even get married. And one of the things that they want is a vacation home, but at the same time, they also want children. And so they start their family, but the vacation home never seems to manifest. Well, the reason that is because they really didn't share their intentions. They didn't come to common intentions that were going to produce the desired manifestations. So it's not so much about just knowing what you want, but being very intentional about the creative process. The same would go for someone who is looking for a new job. You might go into an interview and share with the manager that you're extremely dedicated and determined, and you're also growth-oriented with a desire to move through the ranks of the company for obvious reasons, which would include not only mobility, but certainly a larger paycheck and potentially ownership in the company. But if that company doesn't share all of those intentions with you, what might end up happening is that they take advantage of the intentions of you are determined and you are committed. Therefore, you may end up overcommitting and working really long hours, but you're never provided a growth opportunity to move through the ranks. So creating crystal clear intentions that both co-creative partners agree upon is necessary in order to master the manifestation process. Now, the first tool of mastery is to make sure that anytime you walk into a co-creative process, that you come in with standards. Now, I'm not saying expectations, I'm saying standards. Standards are the bare minimum of what you are willing to accept from the manifestation. So in your relationships, this might be the bare minimum is how you speak to me, how you treat me, and maybe even how you touch me during the co-creative process. In a workplace environment, the bare minimum might be, I'll give you my time and you give me a paycheck, but if I give you more time or more creativity, you give me an opportunity to grow by potentially paying for a training or an education that I have yet to experience. So getting really clear on your personal standards and making sure that you're able to communicate that to your co-creative partners. Of course, as a responsible co-creator, you're also going to want to give your partners a chance to communicate their standards with you as well. The second way to master the art of manifestation in the co-creative process is to remember that the most pristine manifestations come from balance and harmony. This means that each one of you needs to be putting in a unique energetic signature that is in the same quantity as the other. Now, sometimes we have to make up for our co-creative partners because we're either better at something or that person is struggling to meet the co-creative requirements. But for the most part, we want to make sure that there is equitable input of energy. Having said that, especially for my female followers, you have to be very mindful of allowing your co-creative partner to use their creativity, to give them the time and space they need to express themselves authentically and not be so quick to tell them that that's not how it works or that's not the way it's going to work. So making sure that each of you are sharing the responsibility of the energetic inputs that are required to co-create, as well as giving each other room to express themselves authentically and creatively throughout the entire process. Now, the third way to master co-creation is to continually review the process. It's really important to check in with your co-creators to ensure that they feel good and that they're comfortable with your delivery or your energetic signature, and at the same time give them feedback on their delivery or their energetic signature. You can also use the review process to set really strong goals, especially time-based goals. In the example of a vacation house, the more you review the co-creative process, it's more likely the faster you'll get to that cabin in the mountains or shanty on the beach. And even in the workplace, rather than just accepting that the review process is all about you and your performance, hold your employer and your partners accountable for what they're bringing energetically to the co-creative process. Now, the fourth way to master the co-creative process is to de-manifest negative patterns, actions, and behaviors that are going to dismantle the manifestation that you're actually shooting for. Remember, each co-creative partner has its own unique energetic signature. And a lot of times our energetic signatures are comprised of the traumas and dramas of our life experience. So if we haven't healed certain aspects of ourselves and that unhealed part of our awareness is producing patterns, actions, and behaviors that are negative and will potentially disrupt the co-creative process, then we need to take responsibility for that. Now, it's very likely that our partners will also have to demanifest negative patterns, actions, and behaviors that result from their own personal traumas and dramas. But in any case, we have to be aware of the baggage that we are bringing into the co-creative process. And we need to shed as much of that baggage through self-regulation and recognizing our triggers. If you're triggered inside of the co-creative process, you know you're bringing something in that doesn't necessarily belong there. So keep that in mind. I'm not suggesting you need to be a clean slate when you come into any co-creative process, but at very least becoming increasingly self-aware of the negative patterns, actions, and behaviors that could potentially mess up the co-creative process. That's a wrap for this video, my friends. If you loved it, please like, comment, and share. If you dig my vibe, then definitely consider subscribing. And as always, stay in the luminosity of your beautiful light. Never forget that you are loved.